to bedrooms and kitchens. So at MJ Flood Technology, we went to work too, becoming Microsoft Partner of the Year for Teams Voice, and the only partner in Ireland with a Teams Calling Advanced Specialisation. Our market-leading cloud-based voice solution, built in Microsoft Teams, delivers full business collaboration in one application. MJ Flood Technology. Talk to the experts and contact us at mjf.ie.
Life feels better when you know your loved ones are being looked after. Well, now you can protect your family's future for just €10.10 per month with Leia Life Insurance. Simply answer a few short questions. There's no medical required. And unlike any other insurer, you're covered by Leia Life instantly, which means your family will get a lump sum payment should you pass away. Join us online and you'll get a 10% discount and a further 10% if you're already a Leia Healthcare member. Visit leialife.ie or call us now on 1890 907 100.
Insurance provided by iptiQ Life SA. Leia Healthcare Limited, trading as Leia Life and Leia Healthcare, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
When business and research connect,
anything is possible. Knowledge Transfer Ireland can help your business make the connections
that build your R&D capacity, bring innovation to life, and make exciting things happen. Knowledge Transfer Ireland is the national body that helps companies connect
with Irish research, expertise and technology. Start by exploring the research opportunities and resources available from third-level institutions.
Visit knowledgetransferireland.com, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
I'm an absolute dinosaur.
He just went nuts one night and started shooting a gun off upstairs.
Okay, Superman.
Kiss my face.
He's welcomed back by all the Muppets in the press room, and, you know, he deserves another chance. He doesn't his bollocks.
Oh, bloody hell, he's put me on the spot there.
Off the ball rules, baby.
Well, you would have to say quite the St. Patrick's Day at Cheltenham this afternoon. Irish winners in 6 of the 7 races, and quite the festival for Henry de Bromhead too. Winner of the champion hurdle yesterday, the Queen Mother today. We'll talk to Henry very shortly. Wednesday night rugby, Ireland, England on the horizon. Andy Dunn and Will Greenwood on the way at 8 o'clock. And then it's a pretty Manchester-focused football show. Andy Minton talking United. Then we have the athletics, Sam Lee talking City. And it is, of course, a Champions League evening to boot. So it's all on the way.
Across Ireland. This is the IMRO Radio Awards National Station of the Year. This is News Talk.
Good evening, I'm Stephen Burke. The Taoiseach and the US President are meeting at the moment as part of the annual St. Patrick's Day celebrations. They exchanged the traditional bowl of shamrock in a virtual event held in the last hour. President Biden spoke about his Irish roots and deepening the connection between the two countries. The leaders are expected to discuss Brexit, COVID-19, trade and climate change in the bilateral meeting. President Biden told the Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, he was happy to get the chance to speak with him.
One of the few quotes that I've been given credit for in my career was, I said, but I mean it, maybe it's just my family, I said, we Irish are the only people who are nostalgic for the future. And I think we are. It's a great opportunity for you and I to get to talk a little bit.
While Micheál Martin stressed the importance of the United States in the Brexit talks.
I especially want to thank you for your unwavering support for the Good Friday Agreement. It has meant a lot, and it has mattered, including as we negotiated Brexit.
18 more people are known to have died with COVID-19 and 557 more have tested positive for the virus. 350 patients are being treated in hospital, with 83 receiving intensive care. 16 people have been arrested in Dublin in connection with anti-lockdown protests today. Around 400 people were gathered at Herbert Park in Ballsbridge, where the Garda Public Order unit was deployed. 13 men and 3 women have been arrested, with 10 of them charged and due before Dublin District Court this afternoon. Former Garda Commissioner Pat Leahy believes the city centre will be quiet tonight.
The off licences have agreed not to open before 4 p.m. in the day, so that the city centre could go ahead with the parade, the families inside in town could enjoy the experience without any alcohol coming into the mix. And that still exists today. That will be happening today, I'm informed, that the off licences will not be opening before 4 p.m.
That's it for now. More in an hour.
OTB Sports on News Talk.
Sponsored by Betway. Get closer to the matchday experience. 18 plus. Bet responsibly. Gambleaware.ie.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to the AA. For our most competitive discounts on car insurance, go online to the aa.ie.
Mostly dry tonight, apart from some patchy drizzle and thickening cloud. Lows of 6 to 8 degrees with some mist and fog patches. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
You're welcome along. Joe Malloy with you this evening. Quite the St. Patrick's Day at Cheltenham this afternoon. Irish winners in 6 of the 7 races, and quite the festival for Henry de Bromhead in particular, winner of the champion hurdle yesterday. And now the Queen Mother this afternoon. We'll talk to Henry around 7:30 on the show. Six Nations finale, very much the focus of Wednesday night rugby, not least Ireland against England. So we're bringing in the heavyweights. We have former teammates at Quins, Andy Dunn and Will Greenwood after 8 o'clock. And then after 9, it's a Manchester-focused football show. Andy Mitten talking United. Sam Lee from The Athletic on City. Champions League action, of course, to boot as well. 53106 is the text number. We are at Off the Ball on Twitter. Will O'Callaghan, hello.
Evening, Joe. How are you getting on?
Very well. We have Carl Mullaney on the news round. Carl, how you doing?
Evening, lads.
So, Will, this Cheltenham business, all too easy?
Yeah, well, the prediction was this was going to be a really good festival for the Irish, given that there weren't too many leading contenders from Nicky Henderson's yard. Paul Nicholls maybe didn't have his big guns firing in the same way going into this Cheltenham Festival. And today has just been remarkable. As you said at the outset of the show, 6 out of 7 from today, including really all the big graded races. The 2 features already collected as Irish winners for this week. And now you start to think 2017, Joe, 19 winners that year, which was the record. It's in real danger with some big Irish shouts, particularly in the big races over the next couple of days. Fantastic. You had Rachel Blackmore on last night. She was talking about how it was a dream to win a Grade 1 race, whatever about winning a Grade 1 at Cheltenham. Well, she's got a couple of big ones now over the last couple of days, and it's been magic for Henry de Bromhead. I'd imagine, it was probably tricky enough for him taking in some of the top horses from Gordon Elliott's yard over the last 10 days or so, and he'll be really hoping that Envoy Allen can put the absolute cherry on top of his week with a big win tomorrow. And I think a lot of Irish punters are probably hoping that Envoy Allen will show all of his potential when he runs tomorrow. But again, a really, really good day today for the Irish. Willie Mullins again celebrating a winner too, even though he'll be disappointed about Chachin Boursois. But yeah, it's just been an absolute whitewash. And that's when you consider that it could have probably been better for the Irish, but for the fact that, the Irish amateur riders weren't able to go across. And I'm delighted personally for Paul Hennessy, who I heard on Friday Night Racing last week. He'd won multiple classics as a greyhound trainer, goes in with a very small yard with horses that he's bred himself. And now he's a Cheltenham winning horse racing trainer too. So it's those kind of little stories that make Cheltenham absolutely remarkable, Joe.
Yeah, he gave a great interview afterwards as well. You could just tell how emotional he was, what it meant to him. I mean, it's great seeing the Willie Mullins of the world winning all these races, but when somebody like Hennessy wins, I mean, it kind of life-changing in some ways, or career-making. I think he has 2 horses, and so one of them is a Cheltenham winner. So as you said, Will, the record of 19 probably in danger now. Ireland up to 11 after the first 2 days, 6 today, 5 yesterday. John Duggan will run us through everything around 7:30 or so, and hopefully we'll be joined by Henry de Bromhead as well. We should kick off the news round on Off the Ball on News Talk with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. And Cathal, no surprises, that's where you're starting, Cheltenham?
Certainly is, Joe, because it's been a hugely successful St. Patrick's Day for Irish racing at Cheltenham. 6 of the 7 races were claimed by Irish horses. Jockey Rachel Blackmore followed up her historic champion hurdle triumph on Tuesday with 2 more victories today. She guided the Henry de Bromhead trained Bob Olinger to victory in the Ballymore Novices Hurdle and was aboard Sir Gerard for trainer Willie Mullins to win the final race of the day, the Champion Bumper. Speaking after her win on Bob Olinger, Blackmore was full of praise for his performance.
The manner in which he done it, he's a massive future ahead of him. He won a point for Pat Doyle. He always thought a lot of him. Patrick Mullins won his bumper on him. He thought a lot of him. So there's a lot of people thought an awful lot of this horse, and it's great that he could go and do that today and really stamp what he's made of.
So what's that, Will? Rachel Blackmore to 3 wins?
3 wins, yeah, and 3 big wins so far too, perhaps crucially, including, winning the feature yesterday. So Henry de Bromhead has put faith in her and put her on many good horses, and then she picks up a ride from Willie Mullins today and also rides to victory. So things are moving along very nicely for her. She's probably not going to have enough good horses over the next couple of days to be the leading jockey. I would imagine that's still going to be Paul Townend. But even if she doesn't have another winner over the next 2 years, it's been a remarkable start. And there's been a few kind of romantic stories. I'm sure Carl is going to talk about Tiger Roll in a moment. I nearly forgot about the Tigers' victory when we were talking just a few moments ago. But one wonders if it was a case of the O'Leary's pig-headedness by not going with the weight at Aintree, or was the handicapper wrong? I think the handicapper has probably been proven right by the fact that Tiger Roll has now picked up a 5th Cheltenham Festival winner today. That he still would have been the best horse in the field if he'd gone to Aintree, but unfortunately he's been withdrawn, and we've maybe had that chance of him following up from Red Rum being stolen away from us.
Carl, the Queen Mother Champion Chase then?
Yeah, Henry de Bromhead enjoying success in that race when Aidan Coleman put the Kettle on to victory. And Willie Mullins also had a second winner in the day in the novices chase when Paul Townend was aboard Monkfish. 33-1 shot Heaven Help Us secured the honours in the Coral Cup for Paul Hennessy and Richie Condon. And Hennessy spoke afterward about how it was a dream to secure success.
Just off the planet. I just think I'm dreaming. Thanks be to God. I can't believe what's after happening. We needed a miracle. Heaven help us. I mean, and I said to Richie, the pace that he travelled over 2 miles in Leopardstown, I think should stay going at that pace for a long time, And that was the plan we had. There's probably 26 plan A's in the race, but at least we got to use our plan A, and it worked to a treat. And what can I say? I mean, Niall Prendergast, again, he does all the preparation work with her. And it's paid off in spades. And Richie gave her a brilliant ride again,
Yeah, there you go. So that is Paul Hennessy. Delighted, as you can imagine, after his win today. And then Will mentioned Tiger Roll. So you've got some reaction on Tiger Roll, Carl?
Sure. Tiger Roll, meanwhile, produced a fine run to win the Glenfarclas chase for Denise Foster and Keith Donoghue. And Jockey Donoghue spoke afterwards, saying that they always had belief the 11-year-old could produce a performance.
We had the faith, we always knew what this horse would show, and there's no better horse than Tiger Roll to doubt the doubters.
So, I mean, it's a hell of a CV for Tiger Roll. That's a 5th Cheltenham success, a reverse of the result last year. As Will was saying, won't be at the Grand National. There's a spat over the weight being handed out, so won't get a chance to go for 3 in a row. But that's a Triumph Hurdle, 3 cross countries now, 2 Grand Nationals, absolutely insane CV, really popular winner. It's notable on the coverage, Will, that ITV doing everything they possibly can not to mention Gordon Elliott in any way. Denise Foster gets a brief mention and then they run a million miles away from it. In fact, the coverage over the last 48 hours, they're at pains to tell everyone how much everyone there loves their horses. You can sort of detect that, I suppose, self-consciousness, I think, in their coverage.
Yeah, it feels like an elephant in the room, because you're almost making it out that Denise Foster is like this rookie trainer who has saddled a horse that Gordon Elliott has done all the work with over the last year to get ready, and then she's down as the designated trainer just really a few days out from Cheltenham to make sure that the horses are able to run for the yard. And I would imagine this is going to be a very difficult week for Gordon Elliott as well, Joe, because he was preparing maybe his best ever team to go across to Cheltenham. I mentioned Envoy Allen, who he cares so much about and thinks that it's a generational horse, is due to run tomorrow and is expected to win. I can't imagine it's going to be easy for Gordon Elliott to sit down and actually watch that race tomorrow. And then when you hear, the Mullins yard getting Sir Gerhard ready to win and go out and win a big race today, a lot of this work has been done by Gordon Elliott over the last year. And whatever you think about his sins and the nature of the photo which was taken, on a purely human level, I can't help but feel massively for Gordon Elliott this week. And he's put his hands up and he said, look, I made a massive mistake and I'm going to pay a big price for it. I would imagine watching his horses at Cheltenham this week, potentially winning at Aintree, and also then when the big festivals come around in Ireland at the end of the National Hunt season, these are the moments that are going to hit Gordon Elliott the hardest. And I agree with you. I think it's very strange not to mention it. It's almost like they don't want to get into the debate around what happened, so therefore we don't speak about Gordon Elliott. But when you see horses which he's been saddling for the last year getting success at Cheltenham, surely he deserves at least a cursory mention.
Yeah, they're in a strange predicament. But to not mention it at all seems rather odd. So last Cheltenham news, Carl, the other race of the day?
Yeah, the other race of the day, Joe, was the Grand Annual Challenge Cup, and that saw Sky Pirate come home in first, and the winner is incidentally trained by Cork native John Joe O'Neill.
Now, the FA have been speaking this afternoon.
They have. The Football Association Chief Executive, Mark Bullingham, has offered a heartfelt apology to survivors of sexual abuse in football after fully accepting an independent review that found the organisation did not do enough to keep children safe between 1995 and 2000. The 4-year review resulted in a 707-page report, which was published by Clive Sheldon QC today, and described the FA as having significant institutional failings for which there is no excuse. 62 survivors of abuse and 157 further individuals gave evidence to the investigation, which looked at how the FA, clubs and individuals handled reports of abuse at the time.
Yeah, it's a huge report. We'll do something on it on the football show this week, or certainly next week, I would suspect. I didn't understand, Will, at first why it was about 1995 to May 2000 when the report focused on abuse of children between 1970 and 2005, but just looking at initial reports on it, so it seems that there's no evidence that the FA knew of a problem before the summer of 1995. So what they're looking at is what they did post 1995, and the finding is there were institutional failings and that not enough was done to keep children safe post 95 when they knew there were predators very much operating right across football. So that's what, if people are wondering, because I was wondering why it's about 1995 to May 2000, that's the issue there.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to dig down into all the detail on it yet, Joe. I was reading a bit about it on Sky Sports when it was printed earlier, and I've been kind of reading some of the individual club reactions which has been coming out, where clubs, particularly where they were affected by some of the predators that were operating inside of their youth systems during the period in question. I did wonder about that too. I kind of wondered about segments around Dario Gradi, who certainly was in a position where he was aware of complaints, but yet the report, I wouldn't say it has entirely exonerated him, but it hasn't placed a finger of blame on him. So I'm interested to read the full report before drawing any kind of big conclusions from it. But it is very clear that there were massive issues in academies across the country in England during that period in question, and in some cases young boys and their families coming forward about it, and both the FA not doing enough on their watch to make sure that young men who were in the care of football clubs were being looked after properly.
Carl, Champions League this evening?
Yeah, Chelsea have a 1-0 advantage heading into their Champions League last 16 second leg tie with Atletico Madrid tonight. Kick-off for that one at Stamford Bridge is at 8 o'clock. The Londoners are unbeaten in all competitions since their new manager Thomas Tuchel took over from Frank Lampard in January, but this evening they'll be without Jorginho and Mason Mount for the game at Stamford Bridge. The pair have scored nearly half the team's goals since Tuchel took charge, but they miss out tonight due to an accumulation of yellow cards. Despite holding the lead heading into the match, Tuchel isn't expecting an easy match.
All the teams have to adapt to the questions that are asked, and it can change within seconds. We know it like it is in football. One goal can change everything. One decision from the referee, a bit of luck or a bit of no luck can change the whole momentum.
Yeah, potentially an interesting game. Atletico didn't really throw a punch in the first leg, so you would think they'll have a bit more about them this evening, and obviously away goals could come into it, and as Carl says, bizarrely Mount and Jorginho account for basically half of Chelsea's goals under Tuchel, so far from done that one. You would think Carl, Bayern are home and host.
Yeah, Bayern have a 4-1 lead, Joe, against Lazio. They play their second leg this evening. Of course, the Germans defending champions, and that fixture takes place tonight at the Allianz Arena at 8 o'clock as well. And elsewhere, Tottenham boss Jose Mourinho says despite fears of burnout, Harry Kane will start tomorrow night's Europa League last 16 second leg against Dinamo Zagreb. The striker has been playing with an ankle problem over the past couple of weeks. Mourinho, though, is hoping that England manager Gareth Southgate is cautious when using Kane during the upcoming international break.
I love my players to be involved in national teams. I think it's a question of pride for them to go. But of course, if we could choose, we wouldn't like the players to play 3 matches. But it's not in our hands. It's in the hands of their national team managers.
I'm sure Sergei's thinking, you're playing him in every bloody game going, Europa League, come on. I mean, Kane's gone down a few times with ankle problems even over the last couple of weeks. You definitely get the feeling, Will, that ankle is being strapped up and probably swelling up at times as well, and will be no fun 20 years after he's retired, but it's get out in the pitch now type thing.
Yeah, look, particularly with Son Heung-min out at the moment too, Jose Mourinho was always going to play him against Zagreb. Now, you could claim that Spurs, who've got a 2-goal advantage, could easily leave Harry Kane on the bench, keep his feet up, and if he's required break glass and bring Kane on in the second half if needed, because Spurs are in a really strong position going into that game. But Jose Mourinho will always do what he feels is best for his team. And anyone who saw the Amazon documentary last year, the feeling was that if a player is unwilling to play through the pain barrier, you are not a Jose Mourinho player. And I think Harry Kane will go out and play, even to his own detriment in terms of his fitness, if required for the team. And as a result, Mourinho loves Harry Kane. I think if Son Heung-min was fit, they could maybe have played Son up front. I can kind of understand where Jose Mourinho is coming from, in that England play San Marino in the first of their World Cup qualifiers next week. So the idea would be surely give Kane a chance to put his feet up for that game and maybe play him in the more difficult fixtures of England's upcoming international window, that Gareth Southgate doesn't need to play him in all three, given the strength of forwards that England have available. But Jose Mourinho is always going to go to try and prioritise these competitions, and the Europa League is very important for them, because as the weeks go on, and even after last weekend, Spurs getting into the top four looks increasingly unlikely, and the Europa League is probably their best chance of qualifying for the Champions League next year. So if that means running Harry Kane into the ground and him not being fit for Euro 2020, Jose Mourinho won't be losing any sleep over that.
No, I suspect you're right. Kane doesn't look himself at the moment, even against Arsenal in particular. He looked like a player carrying an injury and then upped it when the game was getting away from Spurs. So you suspect he is not fully feeling himself. Meanwhile, Cavani out, we're hearing, call for tomorrow's match against Milan for United.
Yes, Manchester United striker Edison Cavani is out of tomorrow's Europa League last 16 second leg tie with AC Milan. He suffered a setback in training this morning as he recovers from injury. However, Paul Pogba is fit again to make the trip to Milan. Meanwhile, the Italian club have confirmed that former United striker Zlatan Ibrahimovic could play after missing the first leg with a knock. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta, meanwhile, says the disciplinary situation with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been resolved. The striker was dropped for last Sunday's North London derby win over Tottenham after arriving late for the game. Arteta says the club captain will have to earn his place back in the team ahead of tomorrow night's clash with Olympiacos.
Other football then?
Yeah, some games happening this evening in the English Championship. Norwich have the chance to go 10 points clear, and they're well on their way to doing that. They lead Nottingham Forest by 2-0 after 22 minutes of the opening half. Timu Pukki and Kieran Dowell have been on target there for the league leaders. It's 1-0 to Millwall in their clash with QPR in London. Jed Wallace has netted the opener there for the visitors, and it's currently Wickham 0, Barnsley 0. And then at 7:45 this evening, three other fixtures. It's Strugglers West, Birmingham host 5th place Reading, Sheffield Wednesday entertain Huddersfield, and Blackburn Rovers and Bristol City meet at Ewood Park.
Jamie says, I caught your rugby stream before the show. That Will Greenwood is like the ever-ready bunny. I want whatever he's on. Yeah, he is very energetic man. We had him at a road show in Galway. Brian O'Driscoll was there as well. Will Greenwood was there. He was brilliant. I mean, punches out about 1,000 words a minute. His brain works very, very fast, and he's full of energy as well. I reckon he's the kind of guy who's got a lot on the go. And I always remember in the half hour, 45 minutes where we were just waiting around to go on, and it was Will and Brian and myself in a room just chatting away, and I can't remember exactly what type of expedition he was heading up on. It was either like going to the Antarctic or the Arctic or Kilimanjaro or something where there was lots of ice and there's a danger you could fall through the ice. But then Will got up next to a whiteboard in the room and started drawing like various mathematical graphs to Brian O'Driscoll to point out to him why, if he went under, the way the team were going to spread themselves out, there was always going to be somebody within approximately a certain amount of meters to get him out of the ice, and therefore it was all going to be just fine. But I mean, like, there were some John Nash level kind of maths going on here with the graphs and everything, and after a while I got the distinct impression Brian was like me, just nodding, not following the maths. But you know,
I do like that safety plan, Joe. You know, the idea is that there's someone within a few meters of you, that you go down through ice and potentially tumble down a mountain. Someone at some point will catch me on the way down.
Greenwood seemed extremely confident it was all fine, and I suspect he's been and returned since, so it all worked out okay. But he's super smart, Will Greenwood. You get that, you really get that sense when you're talking to him. A lot going on in that brain of his. So he's on the way with Andy Dunn. They were former teammates at Quinn, so we thought we'd reunite them ahead of Ireland-England this weekend. Tiger Woods is home.
Tiger is home. The 50-time major winner is out of hospital and recovering at home after his car accident last month. The 45-year-old said in a statement on Twitter that he was back home and continuing his recovery following multiple surgeries to his leg, foot and ankle. He also added that the procedures were a success and that he is in good spirits.
It was a long enough stint in hospital, Will. I mean, this was serious stuff, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking multiple fractures, and I know the doctors were... I don't know how I would feel if it was my medical records if I was in hospital, Joe, and you had updates coming from the doctors who were involved in terms of what was required when he went in for his initial set of surgery, and then I think he had a second round as well, and they were talking about how lucky he was that his leg actually survived the injuries that he went through. Look, it's good to see at least that he's out of hospital at this stage and that he can get back at home to mend. This is a guy who you can never really write off in terms of getting back onto the course. When I remember you and I were chatting about 3 years ago when he got that back fusion, and it seemed like it was almost a now or never for him in terms of getting his back sorted. I think it's going to be a very difficult road back for him to play. I can never see him getting back to the standard of Augusta last year, but I would love to see him get back out and play a few more tournaments and at least not have his career ended by his car being flipped over, and at least allow him to go out on his own terms.
Yeah, farewell at St Andrews or Augusta or something like that. But I agree with you in terms of being very competitive again. It's hard to see at the moment based on everything you're hearing. Last couple of stories, Carl.
Yeah, in cricket, the Ireland captain Andrew Bilburney has rejoined Glamorgan. The 30-year-old has signed a short-term deal for the start of the English county cricket season. And some sad news from the world of motorsport today. The racing driver and former Top Gear presenter Sabine Schmitz has died at the age of 51 with a rare form of cancer. Schmitz was widely known as the Queen of the Nürburgring in Germany.
Yeah, very sad. 51, far too young to go. Thanks very much for that call. That is the news round for this evening. I've a competition for you. 15th of March last year, 8,000 pubs across the country closed their doors as we mark year one this week and Off the Ball in association with Guinness. We are celebrating the people and stories that make our nation's pubs great as we look forward to their safe reopening. Tonight we're giving away a €250 voucher to spend on a staycation or a pub lunch when things do open up, to be in with a chance of winning. Just identify our mystery voice who says when he gets in the pub he has a habit of binging on the fizzy orange.
I know I've had probably too many clubs. I had loads of clubs.
Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents. We'll announce the winner after the show. All thanks to Guinness, raising the bar. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie. My thanks again to Cahill and to Will O'Callaghan. We'll take a short break. John Duggan's going to run us through the events of the day at Cheltenham, and we're hoping we'll hear from Henry de Bromhead as well.
What type of midfielder is Herrera? He's not a box-to-box, he's not defensive, he can't do a killer pass. Why is he on the pitch for? For what? See him come here and boss us at Old Trafford. This is Man United talking.